Hi, I'm Kristof and I'm here to review the Saga Edition of the Star Wars RPG rulebook and rule set. Just so you know, I haven't played this game yet. My review is based on a thorough read-through of the rulebook, so I may be wrong in my judgments. However, I do have quite a lot of experience with RPGs and I think I know what I'm saying. But mind you, this is my personal opinion and I'm also biased since I'm a big D&D and D20 hater. Star Wars Saga Edition has been published in 2007 by Wizards of the Coast, and it has recently been announced that the company is closing up this product line. Many people lament that info, but I'm thinking good riddance, and why will soon become clear. Saga Edition has many different expansions ranging from campaign guides, which discuss different eras of play, through sourcebooks broadening the info on specific character classes, to your regular lists of additional equipment and a bestiary. From what I heard, most of them also include options for characters like new feats, talents and classes. When I first bought the core book, I really wanted to pick up most of the source books since they look very nicely done. However, by now I know it's very doubtful that I'll ever spend any more money on this product line. Anyway, let's talk about the core book and the system itself. The overall feel this basic rule set gave me was something completely different than what I bought the book for. The whole rulebook is heavily slanted towards combat and I found it very crunchy rules-wise. What's surprising is that the combat chapter itself isn't that long, but that's because a plethora of battle options is dealt with elsewhere. Or, by the way, you're supposed to use special Star Wars miniatures in this game. Yep, here's a way to sell more merchandise, and boy, not only are they of very low quality, but they're also as ugly. Anyway, the 5 basic classes you can pick from when creating a character, which can belong to one of the 16 more or less classic races known from the franchise, are the Jedi, the Noble, the Scoundrel, the Scout, or the Soldier. While the Soldier is obviously a combat-focused class, the most surprising thing here, and one that has left a bad taste in my mouth for the rest of my read-through, is that at least 70% of the overall talents, special abilities you get every other level, are usable in combat only. That includes most of the Noble and Scoundrel talents. As some other reviewers notice, you simply cannot decide to play a non-fighting character in this game because at some point you'll simply run out of options and will have to pick a combat talent. The same goes for feats, a kind of bonuses you get when you level up. Here a vast majority of the modifiers, I'd guess that roughly 90%, influences either the damage or attack rolls. The force powers you get to choose from as a Jedi are also pretty limited and limiting. I heard this was done to make Jedi a more balanced class, but to be honest, did they really need to? Jedi are supposed to be more capable than other characters, that's the whole point. Sure, they can do magic tricks, but that also means they won't have the time to pick up other useful skills like mechanics or shooting blasters. They did go this way here, but I think they just took it too far, and by giving a Jedi player only a handful of options for using the Force, and again a majority of those are combat focused, they took away the fun that a more free-form system could have been. Also, there's very little info on the world itself. You get a Galactic Gazetteer chapter, but all you get there is some basic info on the planets of Star Wars. I know the authors probably assumed that anyone buying the book would already know a lot of would have a lot of info about the franchise. But come on, some more backstory and details wouldn't hurt now, would it? A very promising chapter seemed to be eras of play. Unfortunately, the main info is barely 2 pages, while the rest of the chapter are character statistics, and not only good characters, but evil ones like General Grievous as well. So there's even a challenge level stated for each, just in case you wanted to kill Darth Vader, or the Emperor, or Han Solo for that matter. Some good things about this core book is how the multi-classing system has been developed. It seems to be well thought out, as it allows you to alternate between different classes when you level up. So if you're a level 7 soldier and a level 2 gunslinger, which is a prestige class, you're effectively character level 9, and when you reach 10, you can either become a level 8 soldier, level 2 gunslinger, or a level 7 soldier, level 3 gunslinger. Or you can take a first level in a third class if the circumstances and the GM allows that. Another good thing is the Game Master chapter, or rather how it introduces some concepts for beginning players. My only gripe here is that the underlying theme of rules is present even here. Most of the GM advice focuses on how rules should be upheld or modified so that no conflict with the players occurs. Okay, I get it, a game should be fair, but it can be both fair and not a prisoner of the rule set. I'm biased here, but I really think rules should help the game, not limit or hinder it. Finally, I have to say that the book has a very mediocre artistic design. Some art is used and then reused elsewhere in the book, which is probably the first time I've seen it done. And don't tell me that the Wizards of the Coast don't have enough cash to buy more art. That's just being lazy. The chapter title pages are uninspired and they all look pretty much the same. What's more, some of them don't even fit what the chapter is about. Look at this one. Prestige classes. On the right you've got one of the illustrations featured in this very chapter, so pretty cheap, but not stupid. But then you have what? 2 planets, a desert in the background, a leaping Yoda, Princess Leia in her slave suit, and Padme. Just a small hint here. Jedi Master is a prestige class, but Ambassador, Senator, or hot sex slave are not. The overall illustrations are just extremely uneven in quality. You get some great thematic ones, which set a tense or dramatic mood, and then you've got some which are just cartoonish and don't fit at all. And tell me if I'm wrong, but does this guy look like a cucumber with hair on it? So, what I'm saying is, if you're both a D&D and Star Wars fan, this may be something for you. If, however, you're only a Star Wars fan and you're looking for a simple rules-light RPG which is not heavily slanted towards combat, stay as far away from this as possible. If you have friends which like Star Wars and you'd like to introduce them to role-playing, this is a very bad choice for a first RPG. It just leaves the wrong impression about the hobby in the same way D&D does. It's not all min-maxing your character and fighting enemy after enemy in long drawn-out battles, but from how this core book is constructed, I have to assume that its creators simply forgot about that and decided that their main concern should be improving the D20 mechanics, instead of trying to tailor the mechanics to the setting and make them more cinematic in a sense. You know, I'm actually happy that Wizards of the Coast are discontinuing the series, as I'm hopeful that the next company which picks the franchise up is going to do something more streamlined and player-friendly with it. With any luck, the next Star Wars RPG is going to take a completely different approach to the source material. I would strongly suggest starting by tailoring a good thematic mechanic for the game. I really love Star Wars, and I hate to see all that potential wasted because of the very weak and overly complicated rules. My final verdict for this book and the system is a 4 out of 10. It has some enjoyable or well thought out parts, but they barely shine through the overall mediocrity and unnecessary crunchiness. Someone once said that this is more of a battle system than a real role-playing game, and I have to concur. Unless you are a D&D fan, there's not a big chance this will appeal to you. For me, this was the first RPG manual I actually struggled with while reading through, and it's my single most regretted purchase at the moment. Not regretted enough, mind you, to not give it a single chance or to immediately sell it. I will play this and then make a final decision about it. As always, I encourage you to leave me a comment or two as long as they are not full of hate and fanboy spit, and feel free to visit my blog and read something there. Until next time.